The defending champion Golden State Warriors are having some early season struggles, starting out 0-5 on the road and currently sitting in the 13th spot in the West at 3-7. That's a half game better than the Lakers. By the way.
Yes.
Bob, our resident Warriors fan, is it time to panic in the Bay?
Oh, well, I don't love the record, as one could imagine. To lose 6 games in a row on the road, it says not so much about the players, but more about the staff and the coaching decisions. I'm not putting all of this on Kerr, but you look at a lot of rotational lineups that don't quite work like they used to. So I would expect more of Clay coming off the bench and seeing a Steph, Poole, Wiggy, probably Kevon and Kuminga lineup, honestly, here coming soon. James Wiseman has been great, but he hasn't been anything that we want him to actually be, which is an elite defender, you know, rim protector, someone who at that size and athleticism can actually do. And admittedly, he just kind of looks lost out there. The Warriors' defensive woes have been always kind of on the forefront, so I think we're really seeing that right now.
So are you worried or no?
I mean, in terms of repeating, yes. But in terms of overall having a solid season, making a run the playoffs, no.
Justin?
So I think the Golden State Warriors are going to make the playoffs. I think we all think that.
Probably, yeah.
Right? But I think their days as that perennial contender, I do think the dynasty in that instance is over. I think we saw the last bastion, the last ounce of like a dragon's dying, the last big breath of fire. That was last year.
Nice.
So that's what I kind of think we're kind of seeing right now. I think a new person has taken over the mantle of the NBA. We've already heard me talk about Giannis that way, but I do think it's kind of strange. And I think this goes back to the Steph Curry being a protected superstar. Nobody talks about the shortcomings of his team as much by protecting him and saying that, oh, they'll be fine. It's okay. We don't talk about this the same way we talk about a LeBron right now when the Lakers look so bad. Well, Curry, you're in that conversation of a not the greatest of all time, but you know what I mean? Like the top 15 players, and his team is struggling mightily right now.
But you can't
he's on the team, though. Like so.
But you can't pin this on Curry. He's averaging 30 points.
No, Curry's having a good time.
Curry's playing exceptionally.
We couldn't pin the Lakers not making the playoffs last year on LeBron. He averaged 30 a game the whole season.
Right.
But he got killed last year.
I think for the most part, people were.
That's my situation here. Is we have to hold him accountable as a leader for not leading the team to beat some of these teams they should be beating, i.e. the Magic.
I agree with most of what you're saying. I'm sorry, I'm not going to cut you off there, Trey, but I just want to say I agree with most of what you're saying. I think, but I just don't think that you can put Steph is honestly the only bright spot of the Warriors right now. Everyone is struggling. I'll get into my take in a second. Trey, go ahead.
I don't think it's time to panic on the Warriors. I mean, dude, they're the Warriors. Like they're going to come back. It's early in the season. They're going to come back, get it together. I do think they need to figure out something with Draymond Green. He's not really producing how he should. James Wiseman and, you know, the young guys, James Wiseman, Moses Moody, Kuminga. I mean, James is only getting 13 minutes a game. So, I mean, I don't think he hasn't really played the last couple years. I think put him on the court with a couple of those rotations, give him more time. I think he's going to show up. I think he's better than Kevon Looney. I think he has a lot more potential. I know Kevon Looney has he's played in championship games. He's been there with the teams, but yeah, I don't think the Warriors are a team to be worried about. They're gonna get it together.
Okay, so I'm going to quote Nick Wright here. I'm going to throw some numbers at you here: 37, 61, 37, 21, 18, and 30. That is the game number of the Warriors' 7th loss to lose their 6th game every time they went to the finals. Again, 37, 61, 37, 21, 18, 30. They got their 7th loss in game 9 this year. When they were really, really bad, when Clay was injured, Steph was on and off, Draymond was like the only player on the team, it was game 8. So that's the only time we've seen this big three be worse than this. And one of them wasn't playing at all. They're 0-5 on the road. That's huge. One of the things that the Warriors were always good at was coming in and, yeah, we're taking your best shot, but we're dishing it right back. Wiseman, I don't know how you say he's performing well. Trey said it right. 13 minutes a game. He's struggling big time. And Kuminga, he's getting DMP. So I don't know how he's going to suddenly go from a DMP to the starting position. They're last in defense. Yes, when you think of the Warriors and when you will think of the dynasty, you will remember the shooting, Steph and Clay and all this. But what made them different was this amoeba of a defense that could just form to any kind of offense they were facing, and they were versatile. They could switch. And yeah, you had Steph as a liability, but Clay's not the defender he used to be, and he got his feelings hurt. To quote Clay, I guess he just got his feelings hurt when Charles Barkley said that he's not the player he used to be, which is accurate, by the way. I want Clay to come back and be what he once was. I don't know that it's going to happen. I hope for the sake of the NBA, the Warriors are still that team that can go and make a run. But right now, and we're going to touch on this a little bit later here in a minute, but I want to say you're 8 games in a tough conference. The NBA's parity is at an all-time high right now. You can't just be fumbling games away to teams you should be beating, like the Pistons, like the Magic, like the Hornets. Because come March, when they're 2 games out of the play, or 2 games fighting for the play-in spot, or however, whatever amalgamation or whatever situation it ends up being, they're going to look back on those games and go, damn. So Steph's playing exceptional, and the Warriors are struggling. I don't know what the fix is. I don't know if there's a roster shut. They're not making a trade. Their rosters, they're standing pat on their roster. I don't want to go too long or anything, but I am worried about the Warriors.
Real quick, and I'll leave it at this. There's every game, the bench plus minus has been negative. The depth is honestly one of the biggest problems. You mentioned Draymond not playing well. Draymond's having a very good season. Like, he's not actually underperforming like a lot of people expected, but Klay Thompson hasn't really played the last 2 years. Draymond Green had a lot of off-season dilemmas and drama surrounding that. Yeah, this is still the big 3, but things change and time passes, and maybe it's Steph, has to go a whole season carrying the team again.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan Poole's going to have to step it up. I'm seeing this Anthony Lamb guy. I don't know much about him, but he's getting a lot of minutes.
Yes. Yeah. He's kind of like a swing big man that we like thrown in there. Because JaMychal Green, a veteran, hasn't necessarily been meshing with the system. And at the last point, we don't have Mike Brown anymore as well. And that was a huge loss.
And he was, you might say, their defensive orchestrator, assistant coach, in many ways when the Rockets lost. I'm blanking on his name now, but they lost their defensive, quote-unquote, defensive coordinator on the coaching staff a few years back. They crumbled. Yep. And I'm not saying the same thing's happening here with the Warriors, but sometimes coaching staff losses do matter, and Mike Brown has been around a long time and knows what he's doing. So I agree with you, Bob. That's a big loss. Definitely. And yeah, I'm worried about the Warriors.